Hi everyone, welcome to another Literacy Fridays session. This week it's our quiz review and results show, and I know that you are excited to find out if you actually were on the leaderboard or where you placed on the leaderboard. So just stay tuned for a recap and our results. Our first question on the quiz was, our blank consists of all the words that we understand when we hear them, and there were 4 options. Here goes a snippet of the lesson in which we discuss 3 of these 4 terminologies in depth. Check your answers. This calendar is on July. It's at July 2022, it says. This girl's name is Julie. So here we have Julie and the month of July. Julie's name has 2 syllables. The J-U says Ju, could be Jo. The L-I, we know that word as lie, yet we said J-U-L-I-E is Julie, and J-U-L-Y is July. Why did we do that? Our oral vocabulary is responsible for all of that. Yes, our oral vocabulary. Our pronunciation of words depends on our oral vocabulary. Our oral vocabulary consists of those words that we understand when we hear them. So we know them and understand them just by hearing. Now our oral vocabulary then develops our oral vocabulary as we speak the words that we hear. So once we hear the words, we should now be able to produce them in speech. Let's continue. So we said that our oral vocabulary consists of those words that we know and understand whenever we hear them, or A-U-R-A-L vocabulary, oral. And then our oral vocabulary helps to develop our oral vocabulary, which are those words that we actually use when we're speaking, like we know what we're saying and we use them up. Now there's another set of vocabulary that we have to look at which affects our comprehension, and that's our orthographic vocabulary. Our orthographic vocabulary consists of those words that even if we don't know what they sound like, we actually recognize them on sight, we understand them, and we know what they mean. So let's recap before we continue. Oral vocabulary are the words that we understand when we hear them. Oral vocabulary are those words that we speak and we know what we're saying when we speak them. And our orthographic vocabulary are those words that even if we don't know the pronunciation of them, we still understand what they mean. So this is our answer for this item. Our oral vocabulary consists of all the words that we understand when we hear them. A-U-R-A-L. Then the next question said, we do not need to know the pronunciation of a word to understand what it means. If you were listening keenly to the snippet, you would have checked your answer for this as well. That's true, because we have our orthographic vocabulary. And our orthographic vocabulary are those words that we understand when we see them. Even if we don't know the pronunciation, we just know the word and we know what it means. That's in our orthographic vocabulary. Once more, we don't need to know the pronunciation of a word to understand what it means, but it is good for us to know the pronunciation of the word as well. That way it can become a part of our oral vocabulary as well and our oral vocabulary. Question 3. APD stands for Okay, so this one seems to have tricked a few people. Remember, comprehension is just understanding. Or to comprehend means to understand. So comprehension includes understanding of what is heard, what is read, and what is seen. However, there are different classifications of comprehension. Like you have reading comprehension, you have auditory comprehension. But comprehension on a whole is just an understanding of what is heard, read, and seen. For this item, a word was said and the word was acuity. and you were just asked to spell the word. It's Akuity. And if you spelled it in all caps, low caps, or started with a capital letter, you would have still got it right. So that's Akuity, acuity. Subvocalization is also known as, if you put inside voice, you are definitely far from the answer. Shall we have a round of applause for those who got this correct? I think just by this review session, everybody should know now the meaning of comprehension, auditory comprehension, oral vocabulary, orthographic vocabulary. I think we should know that by now, right? So this text, we had looked at it when we were doing reading comprehension and looking at the different levels of questions that we can ask just by a text. Now, even if you had not been in that lesson, you had not tuned in, all you had to do was just process what we would have learned about the different levels. And there is definitely no basic level in reading comprehension nor primary level. The given levels of comprehension are literal level, inferential level, and critical level in terms of questions, and that's what the series was all about. But this item, I believe 60 seconds, or probably it was 90 seconds, that was granted for the person for you to just process what is there on the screen and make a decision. It says tomorrow is sports day at Sonia's school, and the question was asked, when is the sports day? That's a literal level question. It just means the answer is tomorrow. This came from our lesson about factors that can affect auditory comprehension and auditory discrimination. We would have looked at health conditions, medical conditions, and learning disabilities that could have affected auditory discrimination and auditory comprehension. ADD is attention deficit disorder, but APD is auditory processing disorder. That whole lesson was a mini science lesson in and of itself. Check it out if you would have missed it. This question might have been the easiest on the quiz, last week's quiz, because all answers would have been correct. We would have looked at subvocalization, and we said that subvocalization can only take place if you have an awareness of what the word sounds like. So we says a deaf person can subvocalize if they were previously exposed to the speech sounds and the phonic elements. But if the person was born deaf, then the answer would be false. They can't subvocalize. So the truest answer is it depends. It depends on if the person would have been previously aware of the phonic elements and the different sounds that the letters make. And in that case, that response could be true, but it could also be false. So it depends. A person who suffers from tinnitus will hear ringing sounds in the ears. Tinnitus is a medical condition in which one or both of the ears have a ringing sound. Sinusitis can trigger tinnitus. We would have also looked at other health conditions that can trigger tinnitus, but tinnitus is a condition in and of itself. So you don't have to have other conditions to have tinnitus, but tinnitus can be triggered by other conditions. Which level of questioning requires that you read between the lines or connect the dots? Questions do not require much thinking because whatever is being asked was explicitly stated and the answer is right there. So we refer to these as the right there questions and the right there answers. Level 2 is the inferential level of questioning. At this level, we are required to connect the dots or read between the lines. So we have to go a bit deeper or get a bit higher in our thinking by inferring. And when we infer, we connect the facts that were stated to our previous knowledge and then we make a logical conclusion.
Critical level questioning requires higher order thinking skills. So it goes beyond what is stated. So it's not that we're ignoring what is stated, but we're extending our thoughts beyond it to make other conclusions. And this pulls on previous experience, prior knowledge, and how we interpret data. Critical level questioning also assesses how we feel about what is stated. It brings in our personal experiences, our thoughts, our biases, all that.
Here is where I switch things up a bit for this quiz. I've never allowed you folks to use the puzzle feature of Kahoot in our quizzes, but I said let's give it a try and see if people will be able to arrange something in order. This item seems to have been a challenge for most persons, but here goes the answer. So the correct order is that first the sound enters the ear, then the auditory nerves take that sound from the cochlea to the auditory cortex, and the auditory cortex is our processing system in the brain where sound is concerned, words, everything. So once it's sound waves, then the auditory cortex will do all that processing in that area to make sense of what is heard and then store the data as either new or related to what was previously heard. So that's where all that takes place. So this is the correct order. If you would like, just check back out that video that I said was basically like a mini science lesson, but here, interesting things to know. Be my echo, be my echo, sing what I sing. It's not a sing-along song. I taught you this. It's an echo activity. Echo songs and echo activities on a whole assist with auditory discrimination. It helps us to assess if the listener is correctly hearing by reproducing those sounds. Now for the results. Now let me make this clear. 2 podiums will be showcased. I did not play against my students. No, I don't normally do that. That wouldn't be fair for the teacher to play against the student. But I have to assess my work and to assess if I had set a fair quiz as well. So it was open to Kahoot, random users at Kahoot, and I think I played against 6 persons. These persons would just have randomly logged on to Kahoot and decided to do the quiz while I was there. So they were not exposed to the lessons that you have been exposed to for the past 8 to 10 weeks. So here goes the results from that quiz and that podium. And if you are coming straight from Kahoot, meaning you were never a student before here at Literacy Fridays, well, I welcome you wholeheartedly and encourage you to subscribe. Every Friday here at Literacy Fridays channel, we explore matters concerning literacy and literacy development. Welcome, here goes. Congrats to Shima, Nancy, Mal, and Robin who played against me. And I was pleased with the scores. I was like, wow, these persons were not exposed to the lessons and they're doing so well. Then for our regular students, but this week I was like, wow, there's so many of our newbies who are trying out. Oh my, I'm so proud. I was elated that our new students were taking on the challenge. I was, wow, yeah, I was very much impressed. Sort of disappointed that most of our oldies did not participate this time. There's some persons who normally participate on every quiz. I must encourage us all, please don't just watch the lessons, don't just learn. Assess yourself. It's a good way to find out how you're doing, to test if what you think you know, you really knew it. Yeah. So congrats. Now for the results. May have been you. Was it really you? All right, let's see. Congratulations! Congrats to Nick at first place, Kavia at second place, Nimoy at third place, Tracy at fourth place, and Kay at fifth place. Well done. And to the other 4 participants, keep on trying, keep revising, keep practicing. Keep tuning into our Literacy Fridays channel every Friday. And Kahoot reported that there was only 1 struggling student this time on a whole 1.
So we did well. Join us next week for another Literacy Friday session. For the remainder of July, we will be looking at literacy levels, making sense of those terminologies like mastery and non-mastery and independent level. What does it mean when you are told that you are below level in reading or above level or on level? We'll be looking at those things. All right, so see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Happy revising and just stay safe.